Hello, I'm Kettlepip, and welcome to another dungeon thing in Final Fantasy XIV. And today we're playing through the Thousand Maws of Toto-Rak. I'm not sure who Toto-Rak was, and why he had so many maws, but apparently he had a lot. So this is a level 24 dungeon, and I'm here with a pickup group. We've got a conjurer healer, got an arcanist, and a gladiator tank. And I'm back playing an archer. Now, Toto-Rak actually existed as a thing back in the original Final Fantasy XIV. I seem to remember it being a timed dungeon that you had to unlock your way through. As you unlocked your way through, you opened up bosses, so the faster you did it, the more bosses you got to kill, but once the timer was out, you got kicked out. So there are water-stained notices on the way round. So they're basically the story of people coming through previously, and they talk about wanting to collect these Magitech photo cells. And I think the photo cells are used to operate machinery to activate bosses and to open gates that let you through. So here we go, we've got a Magitech photo cell. As you make your way through the dungeon, there's a few times you go through web portals which shut behind you, and you can reopen by playing them, but if you don't all come in at the same time, as you can see happened to our healer just then, someone gets locked out, so we basically all ran in, forgot about the healer and left them behind. Awesome play! So a second notice. That's some guys examining the photo cells and that they give off light or some such. So as you can see, we're following the main route down. As you go down, these little alleyways that go off, and the best way to deal with it is go to each junction, check out each dead end to make sure there's nothing in it, and then get back on the main path. And some of them are quite long. You'll fight 2 or 3 packs, and then clear out the treasure chests, and then have to make your way back. And it's about here that I start worrying about our new arcanist pal, as I realise that he's still got his tanking pet out. And I think he'll notice at some point. Okay, so we just make our way down through the map to the confession chamber junction at the bottom. And then we have a choice to go right the way back we've been, or up towards where we started, and a gate off to the left. So here we go, there's a Magitech terminal, so we've got 5 photo cells. So this is the first kind of mini boss that you fight at the terminal, and it's a Curl O9 Tails, a thing with tentacles. Yeah. I don't think it does anything interesting at all, apart from doing a like a point blank AoE which has got a poison debuff, so as long as your healer and your range are staying out of it, you can either heal through it, or the tank can use an antidote. And the Topaz Carbuncle is about to die. Awesome. Now maybe he'll summon the right pet. Yay! Boots I need. So, we don't open the gate yet. We clear back up towards where we started because there are photo cells and treasure chests on the way back up. So you kind of make a big loop. Ah, so the next note. So it talks about them having located the devices to use the photo cells on. And I get my new boots. Woot! So, and finally, the Arcanist takes the hint and summons a DPS Carbuncle. So, having come up to where we started, that leaves us with something of a run back down to the confession chamber down in the south. Where we should be able to use a photo cell to open up the gate. And there it goes. So it seems to take 4 photo cells for every gate you open. So for the most part, the mobs in here are made up of these Warden's Whip things, which are like the little tentacle quirl jobs. And you've got Roselings, which are the flying flowers, and they're like range mobs. And then you've got Lice, which are like lice. And I think they're called Terox, which are these little things with wings on. Don't really know too much about what the mob abilities are. It's a bit easier to kind of see what stuff does when you're tanking it. But there's nothing super challenging in here. There are a few packs where it's useful to use some CC, like a sleep or a bind. But when you're in a pickup group, stuff's just gonna get broken. So you do what you can. Oh, and there's little mushroom dudes, and these, probably the coolest looking mob in the game. Puddings. They're like giant green blobs. Not just any pudding, prison pudding. So again, going down the side corridors and then back to the main path and then just keep going down. From here on in, it's a reasonably straight old line through to the second and then the final boss. Double prison puddings. So the Arcanist decided, fuck this, I don't need a tank, and has run ahead and pulled the next pack of mobs. It takes me a minute to think, okay, what am I actually going to shoot? And I think at least 2 people start throwing marks around. And I kind of decide, well, balls to the marks. This thing's nearly dead. It's going down. So with Arcanist crisis averted, we push onwards into the next little junction. So at this point the Arcanist decides to go fuck tanks again and go steaming into the next pack. And Ren, poor Ren, at this point is kind of looking and going, I don't know what the fuck to do here. So we kind of just decide to leave the Arcanist, tanking our little mob. Oh my god. And I almost get myself jibbed. So luckily, as I had nothing better to cross-class, I still had Cure on my hotbar. But this wasn't a great pull. So, blasting through the sticky web into the Fool's Rest. We get to the second Magitech terminal and the second mini-boss of the dungeon, who to start off with is exactly the same as the first one. He has a poison AoE. And not a lot else. But then at 50% he spawns an ad, and I try and bind it to see if we can ignore it. But then I notice he spawned 2 ads, and still for some reason decide to keep peering on the main thing. I am the worst. But I think, right, I can keep this other one binded, that's no big deal, we can kill it. But then we mark up the bound mob and decide to take that down. However, I'm being a bit special, and my tab targeting has meant that I'm still targeting the main mini-boss. I'm having one of those moments. I think in the end I was just like balls to it and killing the mini-boss. So at the second Magitech terminal, you get 2 treasure chests. So we run down the bonus tunnel from the Magitech terminal, and there's just a couple of mobs in there, and you get 2 rooms at the end which have both got treasure chests. So like the rest, it's well worth doing. And then leg it back up to the Magitech terminal, which we should be able to use, and open up the next door. So, having opened up the portal, you can see that it's pretty much a straight corridor all the way up to the Abomination Chamber and the last boss. And it's a long corridor filled with mites, fleshy pods, and this green goo. And added into the mix are these lightning sprite mobs, which are pretty much the same as the ones in Copperbell Mines. They'll just stand there and cast stuff at you. So these fleshy pods, they explode when you shoot them. You only need to shoot them once, and you want to hit them at range, because when they explode they do like a poison AoE dot. So if you just pew them on the way through, they're no big deal. And finally, at the end of the long goo-filled corridor is the Abassination Chamber. Which is where we find the last boss. Oh fuck. No it isn't, it's where we have this fucking god-awful fight. Oh, this is terrible. So half the group's left outside. I bind a mob in the far corner of the room. That's fine. Tank's gone down and pulled the next pack of mobs. So we're left with this Cellmite, which I think, right, I'll just keep it binded. That's no big deal. We'll leave it there. I know mark it to be CC'd, and I'll leave it. And switch round onto the first target. At which point the Arcanist Carbuncle does a knockback on the bound target. So I think, right, I'll bind it again and leave it there. That's absolutely safe. That will be absolutely fine. And switch back onto the primary target. All good. So the Arcanist is still shooting at the mob that I keep binding, and I try to bind it again, thinking she might get the clue in a minute, but no, she'd rather it was whacking away on the healer, so I think, fuck this, right, kill the lightning sprite. And then turn around and kill the mob that I've been trying to bind for the last 2 minutes. I love pickup groups. So after all that, shooting through the sticky web reveals the final boss room. Which is a giant scorpion jobby. Right, so we get sucked into the fight, and bearing in mind that I hadn't seen this before and don't know anything about it, I thought, okay, it's reasonable to assume these flesh pods are going to blow up at some point. Yep, and they're going to have poison. So I thought I would be the dutiful archer and just go round and blow them all up. Which I'm pretty sure is the right thing to do. So the rest of the group made a start on the main boss, who has now spawned 2 ads. So we mark one up and just nuke that one down as fast as we can. And I seem to be tanking it, so just try and kite it around a little bit. And then move on to the second ad. Meanwhile, the fleshy pods seem to have spawned in the centre circle, and I'm thinking, right, I want to shoot this thing, but then the healer goes and stands right next to it, and if I shoot it, it's going to explode with poison, and then the Arcanist goes and stands next to it too. So I'm sitting here kind of willing them to move, and they don't, and the pod explodes. So move away from the pods, and then shoot the pods. So having got them to move, I can blow up this one. Now, what I hadn't noticed straight away is that the scorpion tail has now become targetable, and that's what's spreading the poison on the floor. So I mark it up, and hope everyone follows suit and tries to kill the tail with me, because it looks like we're going to run out of room if we don't. Meanwhile, we've got another ad. 2 more ads. So I bind one of them. Keep on top of the pods. And we work on the first one. I'm not sure the tank wants to be standing in the poison, but there you go. There isn't a lot of room left without it on. So the first ad's down, and I noticed there's pods up on the other side, so go to take care of them and walk into an exploding pod. Amazing. Kill the other pod, and at this point probably could have just nuked the boss, but I decided to go ahead and kill the other ad anyway, because I'm tidy. So then we kill the other ad, because it's XP in it, and then finish off the boss. And a bit of a messy fight, but a scorpion boss thing deaded. So yeah, Thousand Maws of Toto-Rak. I don't think it's as good as Copper Bell in that it hasn't got interesting boss fights all the way through. It's quite a neat last boss fight though. But all in all, kind of fun. Interesting to pug. I much prefer running with the guild, to be honest. But I hope that was useful. If you've not seen the dungeon before and you're thinking of running it, maybe it was worth a look. I hope someone's enjoyed this. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.